time being, let's focus on another business, another company. Chalet Hotels is on our radar. Now, the fourth quarter was a pretty decent one for the company. Occupancies increased and profits were expanding. We have with us Mr. Sanjay Sethi, MD and CEO of Chalet Hotels, to take a couple of questions to talk about the order book. Mr. Sethi, thanks very much for joining in. I'm just reiterating the numbers for the benefit of our viewers. Now, fourth quarter, your top line was up almost 24%. Margin came under a little bit of pressure, coming to about 43.7, but profits expanded very handsomely, 125% up on profits. And I believe your occupancies were at 76%. So, sir, tell us now that we are in the first quarter of this year, what's the expectation? And do you think the kind of bumper levels we saw in occupancy towards the end of last year, whether that can continue? Where are occupancies right now? And what's your anticipation from this year?
Good morning. Pleasure being back. I'm not going to be able to share any operating numbers for this quarter because it's price-sensitive information. Generally, from the reports that I've seen from consultants, we have seen a slight slowdown in ADRs in some leisure markets in India. But the business city hotels continue to do very well in the month of April. In my view, the May numbers haven't come, but I do believe May would have seen some sort of headwinds on occupancies due to the election and the heat. And we believe that should sort of normalize through June into July. So that's a quick overview.
Okay. All right. Hi, good morning, Mr. Sethi, and thanks a lot for joining in. Well, you're saying so some headwinds were experienced in the last 1 to 1.5 months or thereabouts. But we don't want a near-term guidance. As you said, price-sensitive information is not something that we want to know. But we want to know what is the guidance, what's the aspiration for the year, both on occupancies as well as on the average room rates. I think in the past you've hinted that it should grow by double-digit for this year itself. So could you revise those numbers for us?
Good morning again. And, I believe that we're going to hit about low to mid double-digit growths in our business or our revenues as a whole. And with some new additions coming in, that should go further northwards. Occupancy, I think, has headroom to grow by another 300 to 400 bips. And at that point of time, it should stabilize around the 80% mark. So most of the growth is likely to therefore come from average room rates. Some amount of growth coming from increase in food and beverage. But I think room rates going to drive the business for hotels in the country. From a Chalet perspective, besides all of what I said earlier, what's going to help us is the occupancies building up in the offices that we have. And we see that speeding up fairly rapidly from this year onwards.
Mr. Sethi, I'm sorry, I missed, you mentioned that occupancies can perhaps go all the way up to 80%. I missed your guidance on the average room rates. You were, I think, at around 11,862. Without getting too specific into, point-by-point numbers, in general, what's the scope of improvement this year on ARRs, or will they be stabilizing at these levels in best case? I mean, you did say that the bulk of the growth will come from room pricing. So some sense on what kind of growth?
I'm not be in a position to share percentage growths or numbers, purely because that will be, again, information that is not available to the rest of the market. But as I said, we are expecting somewhere between around mid-teen growths for the year, overall revenue basis. The occupancy growth will come in a small way because the headroom is lower. But we do expect it to grow from 76 to somewhere around 79-80% occupancy. The balance growth will have to come out of rate growths.
Got that. I believe your target is to add about 3,090 keys, Mangalam tells us, in the current year. Are you on track to that? Could it be more or less? And what about the funding program? I mean, do you need to raise any money? Just give us an update on the balance sheet side as well.
Look, two things. Number one, we are not looking at adding 3,000 keys this year. We have 3,050 keys as of now. We have roughly around 900 keys under development, which will come into play in the next couple of years or so. We are keen to look at other opportunities on the development side. And if we get some opportunities, we'll certainly build more. Our balance sheet has been healthy and has got healthier. We did a QIP of 1,000 crores. That's brought our debt down to somewhere around 1,400 crores and change, and is extremely sustainable and low debt actually, which gives us headroom to grow, and we'll use those opportunities as and when they come.
Okay, all right, Mr. Sethi, I wanted to ask you about a couple of new projects that you're working on. Westin Hyderabad, and the other one, and that's one of my favorites, the Kandala property, Dukes. As a kid, I recall when my parents said that we're going for a vacation, Nigel, to Dukes. It was something that we really looked forward as children. I drove past actually over the weekend, and I could see construction in full swing over there. So when do both these two start reflecting in terms of revenues?
Thanks, Nigel. Dukes is a stunning property, stunning views. I think it needed a serious push up in terms of quality of product and services, and that's what we're doing right now. We expect to get Dukes fully operational by end of the calendar year, but it should be operational in parts in about a couple of months from now. The second one that you spoke about was Westin Hyderabad. That was actually commissioned. That was the second hotel, which was commissioned in June last year.
Okay. All right, Mr. Sethi, thank you very much for that. Wish you good luck with the business rest of the year. So, Nigel, I guess maybe he's a couple of months on Duke. So maybe by the time the monsoon ends, maybe you'll manage one quick trip.
Actually, I went for a drive to Lanavla last weekend because I said in the coming weekend it's going to be packed.
Impossible.
It's going to be impossible. And on the way back,
best time to visit is now, right? I mean, now when the rains start.
Right.
I'm guessing next weekend onwards, it's all
jammed.
gone.
I went really early in the morning. I could see on the other side it was jammed, so I was happy. I managed to get there and get back as well. But that's about, that Lanavla property of, Chalet Hotels. But let's